All right, we're coming to you live from Bill Ford Tubbs Studio. It's Tuesday. The warm-up show till 10 o'clock. It's Al and Jerry. No, Al went inside. Gio is on his way in. He will be here momentarily, so I will sit in for, let's say, 6 minutes or so until the G gets here, as he is dealing with flooding and terrible up your ass because you're not here and I am.
Easy.
Just, he said it. I didn't say it.
I understand that, but then you reacted to it.
So it's... How about this?
All right.
Let's see what you do. Hey, Boomer, up your ass. Boomer and Gio show till 10 o'clock. Gio will be here any minute. Lots to get to, of course, the Monday Night Football game. The Mets sucked last night. And the Yankees back in action tonight. But where would you go today? You're doing a show today. The Mets were terrible. Braves lost, so no damage done. But Monday night game wraps up the week and a very weird ending to that game.
Right.
As well.
I turned the Met game off. I mean, they were flat. They were flat and Bassett didn't have it. But I'm going back and forth between the two games and getting caught into that Monday Night Football game until the end because there was only 3 points scored in the second half between these two teams. And, you get to the end of the game and there's Nathaniel Hackett, the new coach of the Denver Broncos, making a decision that is mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. And basically what I'm saying is that they have a 4th and 5. He has a chance to, I think it's a 58-yard field goal?
No, 64.
64-yard field goal or a 4th and 5.
Right.
So it's 4th and 5, and you got Russell Wilson. He's actually playing pretty good. He's got over 340 yards passing, hasn't thrown an interception. He's doing Russell Wilson-type stuff. And the question is, do you leave the ball in his hands to try to get closer to kick the field goal? And you have timeouts left, by the way.
All three, I think.
Yes. Or do you take the clock all the way down, use a timeout, and then put your kicker out there and ask him to kick a 64-yard field goal? Now, if you know Brandon McManus's history, he has not made a kick this long. And here comes Gio now. He hasn't made a kick this long.
No, 61 was his career long, and I said to Al, the numbers on 64-yard field goals since 1991, 2 for 35.
And it's one thing if they're in Denver. Where he's probably more comfortable. It's another thing if you're in Seattle. And it's mind-boggling that the new head coach of the Broncos did this. And people, obviously I woke up this morning and after about 3 hours of sleep trying to figure out exactly, okay, why did he do what he did? And then you start reading about all of this and you realize, maybe he's just not ready to be on the sideline yet. This is the thing about rookie head coaches. Now, Brian Daboll made a choice, and it worked out because Saquon Barkley, and I watched this play about 100 times yesterday on NFL Plus Rewind, Saquon Barkley made an unbelievable play for that 2-point conversion. This thing last night was just a disaster. And, if Russell Wilson doesn't convert the 4th and 5, then you can easily say as a coach after the game is over, look, this is why we brought Russ here for situations like this. He'll make more of these than he won't make. And it's one of the reasons why I left him out on the field. But it didn't work out that way, Jerry. And I appreciate you starting the show with us as Gio just got here. But it didn't work out that way.
No, it didn't work out that way. What are we talking, sports?
We're talking sports, and I know you want to talk about what it took.
Well, I just want to explain. Can I explain quickly before we
Sure.
go into the whole thing? So I leave at 4. Jerry just crawled past me. 4 o'clock this morning out of my driveway. 4 o'clock. Not once in 12 years of doing mornings, Pittsburgh, CBS Sports Radio, here, my streak was alive, never late, never once. Today is the day, thunderstorm rolls through, flooding. I completely effed my car, by the way, because I went through, this is going to be the other part of this story, is I don't even know if this thing can drive, because I went through a flood that I probably shouldn't have gone through. The car's smoking, it's overheating, the air conditioning went out, and it wasn't going more than 50 miles an hour. So I could deal with that now, and I've got videos of it on the street. You don't care. You're just looking at me like,
no, I do care.
I got to talk about Nathaniel Hackett.
No.
But,
No.
But, yeah, this is what happened. So I'm here now.
I'm happy you're here. I'm happy that both.
Disaster.
Look, it must have been just pouring in Suffolk County. I mean, it just must have been crazy. The huge thunderstorms came through. Allie made it here. I just want you guys to be always making it here safe. We all need to make it here safe.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you made it and you weren't arrested.
No, I wasn't arrested.
Usually that's what happens when a partner doesn't show up. So
yeah, right. That's right. I've heard that before. But yes, look at that. There you go. I took a video of one of the floods. This is the one here. I will tweet it out.
Yeah, New York City was hit hard.
Oh my
much earlier
God!
This morning.
I've never seen anything like it. Honestly, never in my life have I seen it. And it was when I left my house. It was nice out. It was fine. It wasn't even raining. And then all of a sudden, LIE, cats and dogs, the whole thing.
Cats and dogs.
Complete disaster.
Cats and dogs.
So
All right,
602 was what happened. I thought it was going to be worse than that. I don't even know how the hell I even made it here in the first segment. What the hell was going on?
Well, you're here, man. That's all right.
What a nightmare.
Just chill. Take it easy.
I can't chill
I'll
now.
get you a cup of coffee. We'll relax.
No, I'm good. I got enough natural adrenaline going now. And if I add anything to it, I just start flying. Literally levitating. So anyway, yeah, Nathaniel Hackett's a total moron. No one in their right mind. There isn't a single fan watching that game last night that would have done the same thing he did. Football fans, we don't get enough credit. We're as smart as these coaches are. Some of them are smarter, like McVay, Belichick, but there's like 80% of them that fans would know exactly what to do in that situation. One of the dumbest calls I have seen in a decade to take a timeout and set up for a 64-yard field goal. And you said it best. Maybe he shouldn't be on the sideline because the only reason he was there is because they were pursuing Aaron Rodgers to be a Denver Bronco. And they said, we're going to have your offensive coordinator. Here's the head coach. Maybe you'll come here as opposed to signing with the Packers. And that didn't happen. They got Russell Wilson. We said the Broncos was going to stink this year. We looked like geniuses for 1 week because the Seattle Seahawks, who we thought were tanking, ended up beating them on primetime Monday Night Football.
Well, I was just telling these Jerry and these guys here that there were only 3 points scored in the second half. I mean, first that was, and the one thing I think watching these games over the weekend and now watching last night's game is that guys just are not ready for 4 quarters of football yet, both mentally and physically. That's basically what it comes down to. It seems like there's fatigue that's setting in, on the mental side of it and also on the physical side of it. And it's one of the reasons why I think some of the play has been shoddy the first week of the NFL season. And as the games kind of went on a little bit, things started to settle down. But, we're not going to know about all of these teams until about 4 or 5 weeks into the season because of the injury quotation that ends up happening each and every week and then how it impacts the teams. But this has got to be one of the worst debuts for a head coach because his team is in the game. His quarterback's playing reasonably well. Now, he didn't fumble down on the goal line.
No,
twice. They should have had at least 2 more touchdowns in this game.
That's fair.
So when you look at the points, you say to yourself, where were all the points? Well, all the points were given away by the Denver Broncos. So I thought, from a Russell Wilson standpoint, it was a great start. Because they moved up and down the field. They got a ton of yards, and he did what he normally does and plays like he normally does early in seasons. I mean, he was MVP caliber. But the coach makes this decision and takes the ball out of his hands is remarkable. And Russell after the game supported what the coach did.
Well,
but
publicly, but there's no way in hell the competitor, as cheesy as he is, there's a competitor in there who has won a Super Bowl and has had some success. There's no way in hell he agreed with that.
The interesting thing would be, had the roles been reversed and they went for it on 4th and 5 and didn't make it, what would be the reaction? I guess the reaction would be, it's on Russell. Russell's got to make a play there. Or
exactly.
There's a million other things that you could discuss as to why maybe they wouldn't have made a 4th and 5. But the fact that they didn't go for it and the fact that they gave Russell Wilson and, this contract extension and made such a big deal about having him cook, I mean, they basically took the ball out of his hands.
Yeah, they did in a critical. This is why you go out and get Russell Wilson, is for that type of situation.
Yeah.
You haven't had a guy there since Peyton Manning left. You've had Drew Lock, and you've had God knows what. Joe Flacco was there for a while. You've had all sorts of bad quarterbacks. You go out and you get a guy who is in MVP conversations a lot, someone who has won a Super Bowl, supposed to put you over the top in this conference and in this AFC West and in this division. You got a 4th and 4 at that point of the field where you're talking about a 64-yard field goal, and you take the ball out of his hand. What's the point of trading for the guy? You can kick that 64-yard field goal when you got Drew Lock as your quarterback. Give it a shot when you got Joe Flacco as your quarterback, not when Russell Wilson's there.
Or if you're playing at home at Mile High.
Well, that too, yeah, when you got shot because of the altitude.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And maybe McManus would be more comfortable kicking at home as opposed to on the road at Seattle. He put his kicker in an impossible position, took the football out of his quarterback's hands. And with all the off-season, discussion and all the stuff that had been written about Russell Wilson, and for his opening game to be in Seattle and for it to end the way that it did, is such a stain on Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, They should have scored. They should have won the game. The fumbles make the game easy. Even, Geno Smith had a great first half. Second half really didn't do much. But that was Russell Wilson's game. And Nathaniel Hackett basically took it out of his hands the last minute and a half of the game.
Yeah, and this is something that, of course, first impressions go a long way. I think the first impression of Russell Wilson in a Broncos uniform was pretty good. It was maybe even better than pretty good, but Nathaniel Hackett's going to get crushed. I mean, absolutely crushed. And they just came out of a situation with Vic Fangio where, a lot of stuff came out afterwards and how, he wasn't building the right culture there in Denver. So you bring in this new fresh face who had all kinds of success with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in his first debut on national TV. He is going to get destroyed today. I mean, this man is going to get roasted all over the place. This is the story today. This morning, the NFL is back, and Nathaniel Hackett is the clown that everybody's going to beat up on a game of whack-a-mole for an entire day until we get our hands on something else.
Do you think that he's going to be taking receipts of the people that are taking shots at him?
I mean, what a joke that was. And, when we sat next to Rob Saleh, and this is the thing I think that pissed me off the most. I know he wasn't talking exactly to us, and he's talking about, everybody who has talked about the Jets. But nobody was really making fun of the Jets or mocking the Jets going into the season. It was the contrary. It was great offseason. Look at what they did in the draft. Free agency. Time to make it happen. Exciting young team. Bet the over 5.5. That's what people were talking about. And even, the Jets were a big underdog pick against the Ravens in week 1. But then you went out and you pooped the bet again, and that's why people were getting on you. So how do you not understand, whether you've been in New York your entire life, you've been in football, you were there with the 49ers, which is an all-time franchise in the NFL. How do you not understand at this point of your career that if you don't win and you get your ass kicked, people are going to be all over you? How do you not figure that out? And now all of a sudden he's just going to have everybody turn on him. I mean, I couldn't remember a single person who was mocking Rob Saleh coming into this season. If anything, we were giving him a pass for last year's 4-13 season.
Well, they were rebuilding. They had young guys, and they had nobody on defense, and guys got hurt. And I can't justify those comments. And this is like how coaches that come here in New York. I don't know really how it happens in other cities, but here, you have to be able to communicate effectively. And, Joe Judge found that out and found that out in short order that he wasn't long for the job because he couldn't communicate to the fan base through the media effectively. And now comes Rob Saleh. And Rob Saleh, arguing with the fans because guys like Joe Benigno come on the fan and just rip away. Or, ESPN writers are ripping away Rich Cimini or Mark Cannizzaro or Costello or whoever it is. And he now starts his press conference with this. I just, it's just be like, hey, man, we got to get back to work. We got a lot of young guys, like he said after the game, which was fine. Most of the stuff he said after the game was fine. And I understood that. And, and I think we all understand that he's kind of stuck with a backup quarterback right now. They were going up against a really good team. It happened to be at home. They happened to lose another home opener. All of these different things that are, stacking up against him and the Jet players that are in the uniforms now. And he comes out and he decides we're taking receipts on people that have been negative against us.
I mean, why is he even paying attention? I don't want my head coach to be caring what anybody says. Like, I'm sorry. Like, as much as I love Joe Benigno and Rich Cimini and everybody who covers the team and all the Jets fans that are out there, Evan and BT and whoever the hell else, Ira from Staten Island and Fireman Ed and everybody else who supported this team, as much as I respect all those guys, I don't want my head coach paying attention to anything that they are saying. So not only is he paying attention to what they're saying, and that's pissing him off, he's now taking receipts so he can go back if the team is ever good and do what? What is your revenge? Oh, hey, when we were terrible, you guys said we were terrible, and now we're not? So ha, ha, ha? Like, what is even the revenge? What is even the receipt that he's writing down?
I'll tell you how I'll put it in our world. You know when you went off on the Giants last week?
Yes.
I think a lot of Giant fans were taking receipts.
Oh, taking receipts.
They were taking Geo receipts.
Yeah, okay.
And then, they couldn't wait to call it on Monday. Remember we were talking about
because
this.
one win over the Titans after a 47-yard missed field goal means that they're going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Right.
Course.
So,
wipes away being the worst team in football for the last 4 years.
Yeah, right.
Turn Daniel Jones into Josh Allen.
So
Saquon's Barry Sanders.
Right. So,
one victory. Yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah. So people have taken receipt.
Yeah.
So that's what Rob Saleh is doing now.
Yeah, he's taking receipts. But here's the thing. Giants fans listening to this radio show, taking receipts on what we say is okay because that's what we do in this business. What he's supposed to do in his business is win football games and not give a crap about what anybody's saying. And instead, he's clearly paying attention. What is he doing? Is he putting on us? Is he putting on the radio station? Is he putting on NFL Network? Is he putting on First Take? What is he doing? Why is he paying attention to who's mocking the Jets? I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, I guess everybody's human and these things are going to come across their plate and you have a choice to either ignore it or not. But I respect those that are in those positions that do not give a rat's ass about what's going on because they're so singularly focused on turning this franchise around that it doesn't mean anything to them.
Yeah, most of the players basically said that, that this is not the same old bleep. We're not the same old bleep. So they're taking ownership of, who they think they are in that locker room. And C.J. Mosley has been probably the most vocal, which I can appreciate.
Yeah.
I certainly can appreciate that. I can appreciate the professionalism. I can appreciate that type of kickback. That the way they're all kicking back. There's no question about it. But, taking receipts is a little ridiculous. But coming back and saying, like, if you're C.J. Mosley, I know the men we have in this locker room. I know we're better than this. I know we're going to get better. This is not the same old bleep. And I understand the frustration of the fans, but this is not going to happen this year. That's the kind of thing I want to hear.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to hear that my head coach is taking receipts on people that are being negative towards the Jets because of their futility that has taken place over the last 10 years. Hey, they're the longest tenured team without a playoff appearance.
Yeah, I mean, what happens to guys when they get here? I mean, honestly. I mean, Joe Judge went from being lauded as the guy who was going to clean up the Giants to a guy who could not get out of his own way, and diarrhea of the mouth cost him a job. I mean, Pat Shurmur was basically a flatliner, but he was like cocky and sort of arrogant and weird when he was here. Ben McAdoo, his first year, looked like a guy that, you'd see grabbing a coffee at a 7-Eleven. In the second year, he looked like a guy that would, jumped on a bike and rode to Sturgis for a motorcycle convention. What happens to these guys? Rob Saleh, nobody could say a bad word about him. Now all of a sudden he's taking on the media. I mean, what the hell? Why do these guys get here and lose their minds?
Maybe take a page out of Buck Showalter's book.
Yeah.
Or take a page out of Lou Lamoriello's book and don't say anything.
Yeah, or the New York Knicks who don't meet with the media, period.
I mean, there's got to be a healthy conversation back and forth, but you got to watch your words, man. And
well, now he's got a target on his back. He didn't have a target on his back before. People were sort of giving him a pass. Jet fans they're just starting to turn on him a little bit, but now he's put a target squarely on his back. Because now it's not just the local media, it's going to be the national media too. Oh, yeah, remember when you said you were taking receipts on people mocking you? Well, you just got your ass kicked again, and you're 0-2, and now you're 4-15 in your first 19 games as a coach. So, yeah, good luck. Good luck, Rob.
And maybe Jet fans wanted to hear what they wanted to hear yesterday. They heard, and that is, not going to promise you anything, leaving the door open, of course, to a potential quarterback change. I think I would give Joe Flacco the half in Cleveland. Now, yeah. I also know this. I've been in a situation myself where, new guys all came together and started a season in Arizona. First game, we played okay, but we lost at Indianapolis. The next two games, as the quarterback, I was benched at halftime. And after the third game, I believe it was after the third game, I went into my head coach, Vince Tobin. He was a first-time head coach. He was a defensive coach in nature. Mm-hmm. And, we're out in Arizona. So there's a fan base. There's a much bigger fan base now than there was back then. And I remember saying to him, I said, look, Vince, here's the deal. If you keep benching me at halftime, that is going to be your headline after the game. You bench the quarterback, you bench the quarterback, you bench the quarterback, which is okay. I understand why you may be doing that. You're trying to get a spark in the middle of a game. I understand that. I said, but if you do that, you now automatically take the rest of the team off the hook. So if the defense is giving up 30 points a game and wide receivers are dropping passes and offensive linemen are missing blocks, you're basically letting everybody else off the hook by benching the quarterback. So what you really need to be doing is either supporting me and standing up in front of the team and saying, guess what, guys? It ain't just his fault. It's everybody in this room's fault, and we need to get our heads out of our asses and start playing. Or you need to fully bench me and put the backup in and let him go give it a shot. So I tried to be as professional as I could, tried to be as, trying to tell him about the psychology of the sport and how this works. And so I came in on Wednesday after that Monday conversation after being benched 2 games in a row. And I walked in and I looked at the depth chart and I was second on the depth chart. So he benched me for good. But actually it worked out because Kent Graham came in. The team played better because now all of a sudden the focus is on everybody else. It's no longer on the quarterback anymore.
Yeah.
And Kent played well. And we actually won a couple games. And then he got hurt. And then I went back in. And by the time I went back in, the team had finally gelled under Jim Fossil, our offensive coordinator. And it takes a while for, players who have never played together to kind of figure each other out, especially when there are key players that are missing. I believe the Jets are in that kind of situation right now. So I kind of think I'll give Joe Flacco a half against Cleveland to let me see something. I don't want to see 0 points at halftime.
Yeah, no
Cleveland.
third down conversions.
I don't want to see that. If I see that, then I have to make a move, and I have to do something to jumpstart the offense.
All right, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Just getting started on this Tuesday morning. We'll talk to Jerry in just a couple of minutes. Got some weather for you right now. It's sponsored by Edison Heating and Cooling. Edison Heating and Cooling is hiring installers and service techs. If you have a minimum of 2 to 5 years experience, apply now and get a signing bonus at EdisonHVAC.com. You also get competitive wages and sick days. Edison HVAC, an equal opportunity employer. Apply now at EdisonHVAC.com. Partly sunny today with a high of 81. It's flooding all over the place because of a thunderstorm just went through. 70 degrees and cloudy right now in the city.
Well, we needed the rain.
Oh, God. It's not on the South Shore, though. We've had a record drought on the South Shore. None of this rain's going to even come close to where I live.
Sorry about that.
The lawn looks
So I got to live on the North Shore.